Imagine a world where every moment of your life is dedicated to the endless pursuit of pleasure, surrounded by constant entertainment and distractions, with every desire ready to be satisfied within a comfort bubble. What could be the cost of this never-ending hope for happiness? Could the relentless chase for joy, rather than freeing us, actually chain us down, making us invisible prisoners? Let's take a look together at Aldous Huxley's warnings. In his novel Brave New World, Huxley portrays the surrender of human autonomy to the illusion of happiness in a strikingly impactful way. In the book, people have been seduced by a drug called soma, which provides artificial pleasure. They are so intoxicated by this bliss that they don't care about the meaning of their lives or the loss of their free will. Through this narrative, Huxley illustrates how people can be controlled even without visible chains by a population of pleasure-dazed individuals, kept under control by mere satisfaction. Now, in our world today, aren't we already familiar with our own soma? When we look at the endless notifications from our screens, the never-ending scroll of social media, we see a modern reflection of Huxley's vision. Psychologists, especially Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who is known for his work on the concept of flow, have studied how technology captures our attention with brief interactions. Algorithms shape content according to our preferences, causing us to keep returning to these digital spaces. The belief that the more we consume, the more we'll feel fulfilled only strengthens the cycle. Yet, as we jump from one video to the next or waste hours on social media, we don't feel mentally rejuvenated. On the contrary, we feel more tired and unsatisfied. Huxley's foresight is not merely a personal flaw, but an issue that concerns the general structure of society. He suggests that pleasure could be one of the most subtle forms of control. We often don't realize how much we surrender our freedoms when we constantly chase the next bit of entertainment or distraction. This creates a lifestyle focused solely on immediate pleasure, which can, without us noticing, push us toward a form of modern slavery. In psychology, there's a phenomenon known as hedonic adaptation, or the hedonic treadmill, which explains how we are programmed to always want more. When we buy a new phone, the sense of satisfaction quickly fades, and soon we're on the hunt for the next upgrade, the next new feature, the next experience. The excitement fades fast, and we are left chasing the next desire, never truly fulfilled. The satisfaction point never remains stable. It's always just out of reach, hovering on the horizon. This cycle is not just theoretical, it's linked to anxiety and unhappiness. A study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders in 2020 found a direct link between excessive screen time and increased levels of anxiety and depression. Even more disturbingly, this vicious cycle feeds itself. The more disconnected and anxious we feel, the more we seek comfort in the very apps that are contributing to our distress. This leads to a deepening sense of dissatisfaction. So what is the price of all this? Existential psychologist and philosopher Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, argues that true fulfillment doesn't come from chasing temporary pleasures, but from finding meaning in life. According to Frankl, people who lack a sense of meaning in their lives turn to distractions to fill the void. But this only deepens their existential emptiness. Ask yourself, are you truly living for a purpose, or are you simply moving from one fleeting pleasure to the next? This is not just a personal issue, it has real-world consequences. Every day, we face choices. Do we spend long hours binge-watching a series, or do we spend time with our loved ones? Do we mindlessly scroll through social media, or do we invest in personal growth? These seemingly small decisions add up to shape the entirety of our lives. Huxley pointed out that humans have an almost limitless capacity to grow accustomed to anything. Instant pleasures blind us, and yet they are invisible chains that bind us. These chains are tied to our addictive habits, our insatiable desires, and the countless hours we spend on screens. Our energy, time, and potential are being drained by systems designed to keep us distracted, and we rarely consider how we are being controlled by them. So we need to ask ourselves, are we free individuals, or are we simply consumers in a system that profits off our desires? Think of a large market where the most valuable currency isn't gold, oil, or even technology, it's you. By scrolling through social media and spending hours on apps, we are not just interacting with content, we are allowing our data to be turned into a commercial commodity. This is the realm of attention economics, a system designed to keep us locked in a cycle of addictive pleasure. To understand how deeply this system affects us, we need to look at how our brain's biology is exploited. Neurologist Robert Sapolsky, who specializes in stress and dopamine, explains that our brains are wired to chase rewards. When we experience something pleasurable, our brain releases dopamine to reinforce those behaviors. However, when this mechanism is abused, it leads us into an addiction loop, where we keep returning to the same source of pleasure. In fact, the greatest dopamine rush doesn't come from achieving the reward itself, but from the anticipation of it. The expectation of a notification or the hope of a new like on social media can trigger more dopamine than the actual reward. That's why we keep checking our phones or refreshing apps repeatedly. Attention economics keeps us in this state of perpetual anticipation, never really achieving fulfillment, but always living in hope of what could be. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever found yourself picking up your phone, diving into notifications, all for a small moment of pleasure, a quick snack or a short video, but then find yourself feeling emptier, more tired, and having lost track of hours? These aren't coincidences. As Tristan Harris puts it, platforms are designed to exploit our vulnerabilities, using variable rewards to turn us into addicts, just like a slot machine. In Huxley's Brave New World, the masses chasing pleasure are not simply driven by personal deficiencies. This serves as a tool in the management of society. When people are slaves to their passions, they don't question how they've lost their freedom. Today, we may not be using chemical substances like soma, but we are still distracted, constantly plugged into the digital world. So, how do we break free from this hidden control system? The first step is awareness, to recognize our behavioral patterns and see what is distracting us. Try turning off your phone notifications. Set boundaries for yourself. Dedicate time for deep work or focused activities. Use social media in scheduled time blocks, not mindlessly. These small steps can help you regain control of your life. At this point, it's useful to consider Søren Kierkegaard's concept of the aesthetic life's despair. Kierkegaard argues that a life solely focused on beauty and pleasure ultimately leads to a sense of emptiness. True meaning and happiness come from living an ethical life, a life of purpose, responsibility, and higher principles. This perspective has the power to transform both our individual potential and our role in society. We can nourish this awareness with a simple mental exercise. Imagine two paths. One is smooth, easy to walk, offering comfort and pleasure, but ultimately adds little to your life. The other is rocky and challenging, but leads to deeper fulfillment and growth. Which path are you choosing right now? In fact, research confirms Kierkegaard's insights. Internal goals, like personal development, meaningful relationships, and contributing to others, lead to higher life satisfaction compared to external goals like wealth, status, or fame. Yet, our culture constantly pushes the narrative that more, bigger, and better will bring us happiness, pulling us into an endless consumer cycle. The truth is, none of these external pleasures can fill the inner void. That's why many people, despite having everything they desire, still experience deep inner unrest. As Carl Jung famously said, people will do incredibly foolish things to avoid confronting their own souls. The pursuit of pleasure can sometimes serve as an escape from existential fears and inner conflicts. So how do we escape this trap? The first step is awareness. The second step is action. We need to reevaluate our consumption and pleasure-driven habits and start making more conscious choices. For instance, track your phone usage, delete unnecessary apps, and instead of aimlessly scrolling, spend time on activities that develop your creativity or contribute to your learning. These are small but effective steps. This transformation also requires a shift in mindset. As Erich Fromm put it, we must move from the having mindset to the being mindset. It's not about how many things we own, but who we are, how we live, and what we can contribute to the world. This is about placing long-term fulfillment above short-term pleasure. Discipline is key at this point. As Friedrich Nietzsche famously said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The why, the sense of purpose, takes us beyond fleeting pleasures. Similarly, the idea that freedom is the ability to delay gratification emphasizes that focusing on long-term goals rather than instant desires leads to true freedom. By putting aside short-term cravings and focusing on long-term objectives, we regain our inner freedom and can run after what we truly want. By waking up early, practicing meditation, dedicating time to learning, and immersing ourselves in productive endeavors, we can become mentally and spiritually stronger. Limiting our use of instant pleasure sources like social media or online games to certain times is not just difficult, it's liberating. It strengthens our willpower and allows us to take back control of our lives. Of course, enjoying comfort, spending time with loved ones, and experiencing the pleasure of a delicious meal or beautiful music are all part of the human experience. The key is not to let these experiences dominate our lives and dictate our choices. True freedom lies in maintaining awareness of when, how, and how much we engage with these pleasures. As Aldous Huxley's Dark Foresight reveals, humanity possesses the capacity for awareness and the ability to break free from its chains. We are faced with the same choice today. Will we continue to sleepwalk through a pleasure-driven existence, or will we choose to live a deeper, more purposeful life? The decision is yours. Choosing the path of discipline, awareness, and purpose will not only transform your life, but will also influence the lives of those around you and future generations. After all, this is not just about improving your own life. It's about being part of a collective transformation. Instead of a society numb to pleasure, we can build a conscious, productive, and compassionate community. That is the true revolution. Seeing the hidden paths to slavery and avoiding them will help us reclaim our potential, time, and freedom. So remember, the responsibility is in your hands. It's time to break free from your chains and truly live your life.